All right, guys. So let's talk about some of the possible scams out there. Um, Scams and fraud is on the rise, and we need to be very, very vigilant about how to protect ourselves in a more increasingly dangerous world in terms of online scams and so forth. In fact, someone I personally know, someone in real estate business, we're going to call her B. Um, she was scammed recently from exactly something like this. Um, so as you can see, I've gotten, and I can spot, I can spot emails mm, a little bit better than maybe somebody else. But we just need to be very, very vigilant here. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7 emails have made it to my inbox in the last just week or two. This is on top of all of the possible emails that are in the spam folder, which we're not even talking about the spam folder. These are emails that made their way to my inbox. So let's take a look at one of the first emails. It says update success order ID. So that immediately kind of triggers you, like, what order, right? That it's meant to, these words are meant to trigger you. So it says order ID. What order? A success. Okay, some order was successful. Um, that's meant to trigger you. Now, how this is how you start to spot issues. Issue number one here is this is a personal email. It's at gmail.com, meaning a professionalish company is not going to have an at gmail.com email address, right? Even at, I personally use an at Gmail for convenience sake. But even at EXP, we have at exprealty.com email address provided to us, right? But somebody, if I'm getting an order confirmation from, say, Apple, it's going to say at apple.com. If I'm getting an email or order confirmation from, let's say, Best Buy, it's going to say at bestbuy.com, right? It's not going to say at Gmail. Then here it says, dear cherished. A lot of overseas people use the word cherished or dear. Not dear here, not the first dear. I'm talking about here. Like overseas people, a lot of them will say hello, dear, right? So they use the word dear in place for your name, not dear-ish, but like hello, dear. Instead of saying hello-ish, they say hello, dear. So here they use the word cherish. Um, right. And then here, another way you can spot is his name. This person's supposed name is Alan Davis, but their email is EUKFS171. Like, what? It's random, right? It doesn't say like Alan at apple.com. It doesn't even say Alan at gmail.com. It just says EUFAKS, but his name is Alan Davis. Now here's like another trigger here. So right, so they're like, confirmation of membership payment. So again, you are being triggered. You're being triggered to say this is a confirmation of some payment for a membership, and it's just saying it's saying thank you. So they're not asking you for payment. They're saying thank you for paying. This is meant to trigger you. Because if it said, please pay this bill, you might be less triggered to say, no, I'm going to ignore this. I'm not going to pay this, right? But here they're saying, thank you for paying. If any issue with this transaction, first of all, that's an incomplete sentence. So that's another warning for you, a red signal, right? A warning light. Like, this is an incomplete sentence. If any issue with this transaction, like what? It doesn't say if any issue with this transaction, email us back, call us back, whatever, right? It just says, anyway. So now, what am I supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Well, we obviously, the recipient of this email would then say, let me see what the attachment is. And the attachment is not necessarily the issue, meaning it's not like a virus, or not that I know of, right? But the attachment is going to then lead to further triggers, and then try and elicit a reaction out of you. So again, this is dear customer issue realtor at gmail.com. So they don't use my name, but they use my email. And obviously they have my email. That's how they emailed me, right? And finding somebody's email is not that difficult. There are lists and lists and lists of out there. And then it says your subscription with Norton Life Lock will renew today. Now they use Norton's name as a as a strategy to gain credibility because many people have heard of Norton, right? Norton is a common name for many people. So you're like, oh, okay, it's Norton, right? So seems so they're buying legitimacy through using a known name like Con Edison, like Norton, and that's a whole topic. You will get calls. You may have gotten calls saying they're calling you from Con Edison. You need to pay this bill right now, otherwise they're going to turn off your electricity. That's a different conversation, but know that no utility company is going to turn off your electricity right now based on a phone call. Even if you owe a balance to a utility company, they're not going to turn off your lights without mailing you a letter in the mail multiple times because electricity is a matter of safety and security and health and life and death, right? There are people who have breathing machines in their houses, by the way. So no, Con Edison is not going to turn off your electricity based on a phone call saying you need to pay this bill right now, otherwise we're turning off your lights. It doesn't happen. And if you got a call like that, hang up. Um, Another thing that you need to be mindful of, and I'm jumping topics sometimes, is you might if you say if you can hang up that Con Edison call. You might also get a call from someone pretending to be from the IRS, the tax department, and saying you owe this tax bill, and if you don't pay this right now, we're sending the police is on the way. Believe me, the IRS is not in the business of doing that. The IRS is not going to send police to your house to arrest somebody after a phone call. There are multiple pieces of mail sent to you, and you are required to appear in court and all of that stuff, right? IRS is not going to arrest you by sending police to your house. That doesn't happen. So now, what do you do in a case like, Con Edison calling you or people pretending to be Con Edison or IRS calling you? Hang up. Now, the next thing you might do is say, let me call Con Edison myself and ask if this is true. Do I owe them a balance? Now you may, hopefully you have a bill. Hopefully you have a Con Edison bill in front of you, and you can call Con Edison from that number. Hopefully you can do that. You should go to your bill and call the number on the bill. But if you don't have a number in front of you, then you might do what many people would do, which is go on Google and search for Con Edison's number, right? Well, that the scammers have learned another level of scam. So now what they have done is, for if you go to Google um, and say Con Ed customer service number, be careful because the number at the very top, make sure it doesn't say ad. Again, the scammers have learned a scam to say, why don't we just run an ad on Google with this thing saying Con Ed customer service number? So whenever somebody searches it, it will be the first thing that shows up. But if it's an ad, don't call that number because that is an advertisement. Do you really think Con Edison needs to spend their money on advertising a customer service number? No. The actual Con Edison company works very hard, probably, to hide their customer service number so people don't call them, right? But sometimes you have to dig. Like here's the company's website, right? Contact Con Edison. Sometimes you have to dig through multiple pages of a website just to kind of find a number, right? But the point I'm trying to make is if you go to Google to search for American Express's number or IRS's number or Apple or Best Buy's number, and if you notice that it's an ad will usually say the word ad up here or sponsored. It'll say sponsored, right? Let's try Best Buy customer service. Okay. Again, I don't see any words here that say and. Um, but again, you want to be careful. Okay. Um, Now on the right side, Google is giving us this snippet where it says customer service chat, customer service number. Again, be sure that the number you're calling is a legitimate number. But let's continue further with this. So what's the game plan here? How are these scammers trying to scam us? What's the game plan, right? The game plan is to first to trigger you to say, what? They charged me 549. The payment was successful already. I need to call them to cancel this. I don't remember buying Norton. I don't remember authorizing Norton, right? Or it says it's about to be debited from my account by today, right? And that's a grammar mistake. I don't think this by goes correctly there. Your 549 is about to be debited from your account by today. It should be just debited, is about to be debited from your account today. So that's a grammar mistake. When you start to see this sloppiness, chances are that this is not a legitimate thing, and your warning signs should be up. The debited amount will be reflected within the next 24. Next 24 what? Do you see what I'm talking about here? Another sloppiness. In case of any further clarifications or block the auto renewal service, please reach out customer help center. Again, reach out to customer help center. Um, any further clarifications or so again, just sloppiness. If you are uncertain about this transaction, then kindly get in touch with us within the next 12 hours by calling our helpline number. But all of the attention, all of this is for you to do one thing, which is call this number. That's what the scam is. And when you call that number, what they're going to then do is um, then they're going to they're going to say, oh, sorry, you didn't want our service, or you'd like to cancel, or you'd like a refund. Sure, no problem. We will do that. Let's go ahead and get us access to your account, a computer. So now they're going to ask you for a team viewer or a similar type of technology, which allows the person somewhere else to control your computer, right? On Zoom, you can see my screen, but you can't control my screen, right? Whereas in TeamViewer, you can actually give control to somebody somewhere else, and you should not do that. All right. So then what happens is, let me see if I can scroll down. Basically, this is all just a trigger, right? They're saying that they charge you for 1 year subscription, 549. And again, the number is highlighted in multiple places because that's kind of what they want you to do. Okay. They want you to call this number. Now, when you call this number, there's people sitting there. They're full call centers out there, and in India, perhaps parts of Africa, and who knows wherever else, right? There are full call centers out there that are running these scams, and there are multiple videos on YouTube of these scammers running their operations, and so forth. So what happens when you call them? When you call them, when they ask you to give them control of your computer, they say, okay, go to, and they're not going to say, give us control of your computer. They're not going to use those words, right? They're going to say, okay, sure, let's take care of that. But please go to teamviewer.com. And then you go to teamviewer.com. And then they'll say, okay, give us click here, give us this number. So now you're doing all of these mini steps that they're telling you, and now they're in your computer. Then they're going to say, great, now we're going to refund you the money, and um, go ahead and log into your bank account. Give me 1 second. I want to see if I can, show you that in action. So, all right, so let's go ahead. What we're going to do is we're going to watch a quick video to see how these guys used TeamViewer and how they operate their scam. This is not my video. We'll watch somebody else's video and go from there.
Open up your Google Chrome, then type over there www.
TeamViewer.com, instant IT solutions. So the scammers use a program called TeamViewer or AnyDesk, and those are remote access tools, and it really gives the scammer ultimate control over the victim's computer. They can do anything that they want. They're able to disable input where you can't type or use your keyboard or use your mouse. They're also able to blank the screen out. So if they're manipulating your bank, then you can't see what's going on. The final thing is they're able to actually lock you out. So they'll change your password or install some type of software that keeps the victim from able to get back into their computer.
Okay, so let's go. Let's see what happens when we make a call, right? I've never done this, and I don't know if they're gonna pick up, but I believe I not believe, but I think that
Okay, first of all, I'd quickly like to talk you through my setup. I've got an IP phone.
I have a. All right, so let's go ahead and call this number and see what happens. I'm assuming these are like 24-hour call centers. Never done this before. You have reached a number that has been disconnected. All right, so good for us, the number's disconnected. But let's continue the conversation. What happens is, now keep in mind that these emails are being sent out to hundreds and hundreds of thousands and perhaps millions of people, right? Some percent will fall for this trap and call this number. And then some percent from that will say, okay, here's my team viewer. And some percent will probably, and then will say, okay, let me log into my bank account so you can give me my money back. So then what happens is, let's see if we go to the next email, just to kind of see what's going on here. Here's another email. This one is from PayPal, or is supposedly from PayPal. And if you're not careful, you may not notice that there's an extra little line in between the name. So it's not really PayPal, it's just fake. Do you see that little line in the name of PayPal? It's not PayPal. PayPal doesn't have a line in between. And if you look at the email again, it says jontia35@gmail. PayPal email is not going to say at Gmail. PayPal email is going to say, Carlos@paypal.com, right? So, and then look at this. What is this supposed to be like? What kind of a professional company sends me this? What is this? And then here, again, this is a trigger. We are thrilled you chose us. That's a trigger. It's meant to trigger you to say, wait a minute, what did I choose? Your e-purchase is in transit. What? Review your shopping experience. These are triggered to make you say, wait a minute, I didn't buy anything. Let's click on here again. Again, they're using the name of PayPal. They're using the logo of PayPal to gain credibility. A lot of people have heard of PayPal, right? And they use the same color and logos. That's to immediately say, oh, wow, that's a trustworthy name, right? So you kind of lower your guard because you feel that it's a trustworthy name. But just look at this whole setup of this so-called receipt. It's not properly organized. It's not professional looking. The only thing professional on this whole thing is just the PayPal logo, because PayPal is a very professional big company, right? But everything else is quite sloppy. The colors, so many colors, is blue and green and red, and there's a highlight over my email. Look at all the spacing. Look at the +1. In the US, when we write numbers, we don't write +1, right? Again, they did not use my name because they don't really know, they don't have my name, but they do have a whole database of everybody's email. So they just they said valuable user, comma, isyourrealtor@gmail.com. But they didn't actually write my name. They didn't greet me with my name. We trust this email finds you in good health. Exciting news, your recent purchase of, again, they put this stuff in brackets, right? That means they're just kind of letting a computer code do this stuff, right? Has been successfully. And by the way, I don't have a service for Surface Pro 8 and whatnot. Shipping address 710 West Shady Grove. Well, I don't live in Memphis, Tennessee. I don't recognize that address. And, is that my address or is that their address? I don't know. It's not clear. Transaction ID. It's a fake ID. It means nothing. product, quantity, invoice, amount. Again, this is meant to trigger you. This is meant to say, thank you for your recent purchase. So when you get triggered, like, wait a minute, I didn't buy $250, $3 worth of item. Let me call them. Look, need to make changes or cancel your order? Get in touch with us. Customer billing support, right? So this is meant to trigger you. And again, they use these logos at the bottom to gain credibility. These are familiar logos. I know Visa, I know MasterCard, I know Amex, I know PayPal. So you feel like, okay, this is very legitimate, right? But again, they're just using somebody else's logos without authorization. Let's go over to the next email. You know what? Let's go back to that email and see if we can call that number and see if they'll answer the phone. I don't know. All right, 831-774-5575. And I'm gonna go with the conversation to some point.
Hello, my name is Peter. How may I help?
Ah, yes, I got this email with some charges. I don't recognize that.
What kind of charges we're talking about, sir?
It says some computer, Microsoft Surface.
Okay. Do you have any kind of invoice ID or any kind of order ID you have, sir?
Yes, I have let me check. Yes, invoice number is 8879224129.
Coach. Just hold the line, sir. Let me check that. Okay, please hold.
Thank you. Hello? Hello? Okay, I muted the call just so that we could talk while he does his thing. And it's a California number. I can tell you they're not in California. I can tell you they're in India, unfortunately and sadly, because I'm Indian and it is a matter of shame for us, right? And by the way, these are real lives. These are people's real stories. B, who I started this meeting with, who I started this video with today, B, lost $12,000. So how does the scam work? So they ask you to get into TeamViewer in your computer. They ask you to get into your bank account. And then, for example, let's say here it says $253.11, right? So they're like, okay, let's put that money back in your account. So they tell you to type 253.11. You're transferring the money, you're refunding yourself. They make you they make you type 25311 as the amount that is being refunded. Why do they make you type the number? It's part of their scam. And if you watch other YouTube videos, you'll see that. After that, what they do is you have logged into your bank account and using technology. I'm not very technological, but think about the Matrix movie type of thing. They make your bank account screen, they flick. Hello? Yes? Yes. Okay. Yeah, but I don't remember buying any computer. No, certainly not me. I mean, I don't need a computer. I have one already. Okay. So how can I cancel this? I will help you, sir. That is not an issue. Okay. But let me just explain you each and everything which you need to verify. Yes, I'm speaking with the right person. Okay. And this account belongs to you. Okay. Okay, sir. And this order that I'm talking about, sir, your note here. 1 minute. You want me to cancel this order? Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I muted myself. I don't know how this scam is going to progress. Let's continue with them. But what they do with the other scams that I've watched videos with on YouTube and with B, I believe, is that they log into your computer, they make you type the refund amount 253. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Joshua, Joshua. Last name Robinson. 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 Yes. 38172. Yeah, you can call back someone. Okay. For today? Yes, today. Yes. As soon as we go ahead and resolve the problem, we'll call you back. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yeah, so I believe the way that this scam is going to work is that they're going to call me, this other department will call me, and then again, we'll continue with asking for TeamViewer, asking for asking me to type this refund amount into my computer. They want me to type it for a reason. And then after that, what they're going to do is, okay, now let's go ahead and log into your bank account to make sure that you got the money. When I log into my bank account, they will put a mask or put a veil on in front of my screen. So I'm still looking at my bank account, but behind the scene, there's something real going on. So I'm not actually seeing what's really going on. I'm just seeing this, in like a Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movie. There's these cameras watching in the prison or something, right? And he puts a frame in front of the camera, so the prison guard who's looking at the cameras thinks that everything is normal in the camera, right? But it's just a photo in front of the camera. Behind the camera, he's rescuing the guy, right? Or he's robbing the bank or something, right? So similarly, in front of me on my computer, I think that I'm looking at my bank account and everything kind of seems normal. And I can even see that I can see my bank account, right? But behind the scenes, something else is going on. Now he shows me a screen, and what he's going to show me on my screen is that not that I got 253.11 back, it's going to show that I got 25,311 back. Same number, except the decimal is not there. That means instead of getting $253 refund, I got $25,000, $311 refund. And my bank will show that to me, but not the real bank, this fake image they have put in front of me, right? So then what's the scam? They're going to say, oh my God, look what you did. I told you to be careful typing 253.11, but instead you typed $25,311. Now you got $25,311 from our bank account. My boss is going to fire me. Now, so remember now that's why they told you to type the numbers so that they could make you feel guilty for making this mistake. And now the guy's going to get fired from his job. So now how do we fix this problem? You have to fix this problem quickly. Please go to the bank and withdraw this money and go to this place where we will tell you to deposit the money. Okay. And by the way, if you go to your bank and so the banks know that there are scams going on all around. So the banks have educated and trained their tellers to do what? Look out for scams, right? So when you go and withdraw 8,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 cash from the bank teller will say, hey, what's going on? Again, they have been trained to help you avoid being scammed. So the teller is trying to help you, but the scammer knows that too. So the scammer will then say, when you go to the bank and if they ask you what it's for, tell them you're renovating your house. So now they're bypassing this safety mechanism that the bank has put in place. So now you go to the bank and you withdraw this $25,000 or this $12,000 or whatever, assuming that you have the money, right? And many people do. And this money didn't come from that scammer's account as a refund. No, this is your money that's been there over your life savings. So now you withdraw this $25,000 and then they're further giving you instruction, maybe in another phone call or whatnot. They're further instructing you to say, go here and deposit it. Where do you go to deposit it? So B, this elderly lady who was scammed out of $12,000 was told to go deposit it at a Bitcoin ATM machine in New Jersey. Now, I don't know what a Bitcoin ATM is. You understand? I don't know what that is, right? But she was told to drive to New Jersey to deposit this money into a Bitcoin ATM machine. And she did. She went to her bank, she took out $12,000 of her life savings and went to a Bitcoin ATM machine and deposited this money. And on her way back, she even crashed her car, unfortunately. On her way back, this is Friday evening at 7, 8 in the evening. It's getting dark, and she even kind of crashed her car because she's elderly and she doesn't go to New Jersey every day. So it was an unfamiliar way, and you understand all of this going on. Unfortunately, she was scammed out of $12,000. All right, so these scams are real. Let's quickly take a couple of more minutes and look at one more. Order complete. That's a trigger. It's supposed to trigger you. Don't forget, confirm your bill number. Nice day. Again, Theodore Capuchin. His name is Theodore, but look at the email. It says Megan Warren. Like, can you be any more inconsistent? Again, from at Gmail. It's not from at Yahoo, or it's not from at apple.com, or it's not from at Microsoft, or it's not even from at PayPal. But that's actually another point too. Even if you see an email that says at PayPal, still be careful. Why? Even the PayPal, even though you think it says PayPal, it might not say PayPal, because that L might not be an L, it might actually be an I. But with a quick glance, you think you're looking at an at PayPal email. Does that make
Ish.
sense?
There's actually sometimes they put PayPal@gmail.com.
Right, that's another one. So it could say PayPal@gmail.com. So again, if you're not mindful, you might say, oh, okay, the email address has PayPal in it. Or you might see it says PayPal.com, but it doesn't say PayPal, it says PAY, but the I looks like an L at a quick glance. Again, they don't know my name because their list didn't have my name. They just call me dear customer, but they had put my email address to gain my trust. By putting my email address, I feel like, okay, well, obviously it's addressed to me. But that's easy because that's coding, right? The software just takes an email from this list of emails, right? If they had my name, they would do the same thing with my name too. So just because you see your name here doesn't make it good either. Payment method. So again, they're just kind of triggering you to say, hey, you paid this, thank you so much. And by the way, if you want to correct this, just call us. That's when the scam begins. All right. I don't recommend that you call the numbers on this invoice to fix the problem, because the number obviously is when the scam starts. I also recommend that if you're going to search PayPal's number on Google, make sure that it is not an advertisement number. Rather, get it from PayPal's website deep down, and don't even go to the website from here, because if there's a website here, and even if it looks like PayPal, it may not be PayPal, it might be PAY. All right, again, H. McAvoy, but the email says Hawkins Susanna at Gmail. Dear customer, again, same thing. You can see it's just very, very same thing. In fact, there was a PayPal email. It was so legitimate. It was so good that I was even fooled for a moment. I got an email and I'm somebody who looks for scams more than maybe some other people, right? So I looked here. It said PayPal.com. I'm like, wow, okay, it is a very legitimate email, and whatnot. But it was not a legitimate email, and I called PayPal, and they had no record of that transaction. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm being fooled, because even though I do have a PayPal account, it's actually not with issuerealtor@gmail.com. It's with another email. So the fact that PayPal sent me an email, that already is a red alert, because PayPal wouldn't send me an email to Issue Realtor, because I don't have an account with Issue Realtor. I have an account with my personal email. So that's just that's a tiny little fraction of how scams work. As far as con Edison phone calls, and as far as IRS taxes owed phone calls, you better pay us now, otherwise we're going to shut off your electricity. We're going to, the police is on the way to arrest you. Believe me, they're not going to shut off your electricity right now. They're not going to arrest you right now. That's not how utilities and tax agencies work. They send you multiple pieces of mail, warning, you must show up to court, right? And so forth. But so how do those scams work, where they're calling you to say you owe us money and we're going to shut off your lights right now, pay us now? How do they ask for payment? They're not going to ask for payment using a credit card, because then you can get that charge reversed, and they can also get in trouble, because the authorities, FBI and so forth, would know who charged my credit card, and they could be arrested, right? So they're not, and I can also get that money back by having that charge disputed. So no, they're not going to ask you for your credit card. They're not going to ask you for your bank account. Rather, what they're going to do is they're going to ask you to go to like a pharmacy or CVS or Walgreens or Rite Aid, and they're going to ask you to buy a debit card, a gift card. Say, go and buy $100 gift card. All right, put $100 in there, and then call us after you're done with that. Call us and give us those numbers. Why? Because those prepaid debit cards, those prepaid gift cards, perhaps you can't charge back. You can't dispute that charge. Once the money's gone, it's gone, and maybe they're harder to trace for the authorities and so forth. But that's a little bit of a synopsis of some of the scams that are running out there. You guys just be really, really careful with just doing anything. And one last note, there are a lot of wire scams because we are real estate people and because we're in the business of real estate. We need to be aware of it, and we need to make our clients aware of it, that there's a lot of wire fraud scams in the world. So always be alert, and always alert your buyers and sellers, landlords and tenants, that if they ever get an email asking them to wire money, right, never wire money based on an email. Even if they think that email came from Ish, someone can fake an email to look like it came from me with my email signature and everything, right? So tell them, if you ever get an email from me, or if you ever get an email from our lawyer or your lender asking you to wire 20,000 or 10,000, please never wire money based on a phone call. Sorry, based on an email. Phone call. Pick up the phone and call me, or call your lawyer, or call your lender. And if I don't pick up the phone, or if your lawyer doesn't pick up the phone, or if your lender doesn't pick up the phone, guess what? Take your time. Don't rush. Wait, right? But again, talk to me live, and do not wire money before you talk to me or your lawyer or lender live on a phone call. And I asked, we're going to wrap it up with this last one. I asked B the same question. I said, when you got this call, or when you got this email and you called them, and then they did this whole thing, and they said, my God, you transferred $12,000 instead of $120. Look what you did. You're going to get me fired. Go to the bank, get 12,000 and go deposit here. Why didn't you just slow down? Why didn't you ask your family? Why didn't you ask me? Why didn't you call me? B, being the honest lady that she is, she said, well, I didn't want to hold on to their money. I said, well, you're an honest person and you don't want to hold on to their money. Great, but you could have given them their money next day after you have talked to me, after you have talked to your family. But slow yourself down. Don't rush. You're honest, so you'll give them the money tomorrow. It's not that big of a deal. You understand? Okay, mistake was made. You want to give them their money, and you're an honest person. You're not going to hold on to their money, so you'll do it 2 hours later. You'll do it 12 hours later, but slow yourself down. All right. So that's it. I hope this is a good lesson for all of us, and we all need to be very, very vigilant. If we have elderly family members, we need to be sharing with them. We need to be talking to our neighbors. We need to be talking to our friends. Don't assume that everybody knows, because look, B is in my circle and it happened to her, right? And I feel bad. Even though I had nothing to do with it, I still feel bad that someone that I know so closely suffered this loss and this scam, when I could have maybe done more educating and more communicating. So, and it's not just the elderly, right? It's not just about the elderly, but the elderly are more prone to scams. But even unsuspecting people, honest people, truthful people, unfortunately can fall for this stuff. So, all right, guys. Just get the word out there, talk to your friends, family, clients, and be alert.